funny, I don't know why, but this week a lot of other men seem overly concerned about the size of my...
Willy Wonka, everybody give a cheer.
Yep, they've facelifted this wide fella, giving me the glorious opportunity to tool around in it for a week, making small children literally leap for joy, that actually happened, and grown men pretend that they definitely haven't noticed you, also while definitely concluding that you're definitely a complete asshole. Anyway, not going to be long this one because, you know, it's an R8 with a few changes in it, and I'm hardly going to tell you it's crap, right? So what has Audi done to it then? Strap in, everyone. At the front, they've made it look a bit wider by angling the grille outwards a bit, and they've done the same thing at the back by giving it this full-length mesh panel and also the girthiest pair of oval tailpipes you have ever seen. Except that they're fake, the real exhaust tips are buried underneath and are significantly less girthy. Still massive though, making this whole setup mildly ludicrous. Kind of like Dolly Parton stuffing a couple of grapefruits into her shirt. Arguably, it doesn't make things any better or worse, and I think in some ways I prefer the rear end. I'm on a terrible road here and I'm just wobbling around, which gives what I'm about to say about the suspension a bit of credibility. Arguably, it doesn't really make things better or worse, and I think I actually prefer the rear end of the pre-facelift one. Although it is different now, which is more than you can say for the cabin here. I don't think there's been any changes in here whatsoever. There might be some new trims or something, but if there are any changes, they're so subtle that it's not worth talking about. Okay, that's enough aesthetic shoegazing now. Still looks like a supercar, people still love it and hate you. Job done, Audi, let's move on. But just quickly before we do, I would suggest that this cabin is starting to show its age just a little bit, especially in the context of the newer Audi stuff, which is highly screen-laden and techy. Hey-ho. Yeah, so the infotainment all feels a little bit old school now, a bit last gen Audi, which is what it is technically, such as the rapidly changing nature of in-car technology. Having said that, I think Audi's decision not to put a little screen in the center of the dashboard here is paying dividends now. I think one of those would look really dated now, whereas the only screen you're looking at in here is this fully digital instrument display, and that still looks pretty cool. More importantly, this is as well built and ergonomically perfect as can be. Also, glove box, storage tray including wireless phone charger, 2 cup holders, storage bag behind the seats, and a boot in which you can keep a coat. Not much else. The point is that it still does that thing that the R8 has always done exceptionally well since the first one. That is straddling the dividing line between actual supercar and usable everyday sports car. And far from being neither nothing nor something, actually doing them both really well. You can live with this day to day because for a start you can fit into it whether you're nearer to this side of the height chart or this side. It's relatively practical and the ride quality is exceptional. What? Why has the music stopped? Yeah, something's happened.
Ooh, something's happened.
Ooh, something happened!
I don't think the ride quality is exceptional no more. So Audi's done that thing where it's stiffened the suspension up to make the car drive sharper, which it does. Slightly. But sadly, it's been to the slight detriment of ride quality that used to have this beautiful dual character. It was able to truly soften a granular road surface, whilst also letting you feel all the, grains. You know what I'm saying. Now, however, it's just slightly but very noticeably bumped over into vibration town. So it's just a little bit harsh now for me. This is all nuance, of course, and by no means has it ruined the soup. And as it happens, if you've got about $3.5 grand ensconced in your Gucci crossbody, you can spec the Comfort and Sound Pack, which not only gives you adaptable suspension, magnetic adaptable suspension no less, but it gives you a banging but it gives you a ruddy good stereo.
Bang & Olufsen.
Now what that does, you've probably already guessed, is let you choose between comfort and dynamic settings. Nothing new there. Now even though this car doesn't have that option, it's an option I would choose because having used that system before, it kind of is like the difference between tensing your stomach and then the feeling of release when you stop. So one of the main things that you'll notice about the R8 facelift is that Audi no longer calls the cars R8 and R8 Plus, they're now called R8 and R8 Performance. Still 2 versions, still amazing V10 engine, and I'll come to exactly why shortly, and still 2 power outputs, but they both get a few more horses now. And all the R8s go 200 miles per hour and above for the first time, because evidently Audi's just not bothered about not Lamborghini as much as it used to be. They cost this much, go this quickly and use this much fuel. Although, as you can imagine, they actually use a lot more than that for fairly obvious reasons.
The main one being that you'll drive like this, because quite simply this is one of the best experiences you can have without the telly being on. The cabin might be showing its age a bit and it might be bumpier now than a teenager's forehead, but in every other way an R8 is still utter magic. It's mainly because of the thing that Audi has seen fit to stick in a glass case back there like the crown jewels, and make the most of it, right? Because very soon non-turbo V10 engines are going to become a thing of history. The next R8 will probably be a hybrid and possibly even a full electric car, which means it will be missing the best and most insane and most brilliant thing about this car. Now it goes without saying that it's lightning quick, right? But lots of cars are. It's the way this car does it, old school style, that makes it really, really special. There's no big turbo shunt kicking you forward, which is a very modern way of getting power down these days. And instead, you get this really linear, really progressive, but ever more intense rush to the red line, which is all the way up at 8,700 RPM. Gearbox is fantastic too. It's a 7-speed twin clutcher, which obviously shifts really quickly. But more importantly than that, it responds perfectly. It's got this almost clairvoyant sense of which gear that you want to be in, depending on where your foot is on the throttle. Really aggressive downshift when you're in sport mode too, so it probably adds to the drama, you know?
Okay, so let's get out the car before my cliche jaw bankrupts us. Oh, crap, there's another one. Pan was in that pocket. Good going. Smooth. An iconic car the R8 may now be, and I do believe that in the true sense of the word, but it doesn't exist in a class of its own. For similar money, you can buy stuff that's sharper to drive, that's quicker in a straight line, that's more exotic, and that's more penis-shaped. But ultimately, all of these things, like an R8, will show the other people on Instagram that life's lottery, or Jesus, or crime has dealt you a pretty sweet hand.
But the R8's strength is still really in the balance of qualities that it has. And that applies to both the performance version here and the plain old 570 horsepower one. Because in both cases, the R8's true strength lies in making the qualities of a supercar accessible for a lot of the time. As in, it's not difficult to drive this thing really quickly, but nor is it difficult to make it your everyday car, really. It makes you feel special in both those circumstances, but in different ways. There are other cars that do that, but this just does it so perfectly, so well. Some people do criticise the steering of the R8 for losing a bit of feel, especially compared to the first gen one, and that's probably true, but it's not the sort of thing that most people are going to be bothered about. But the main thing that's so satisfying about it is that on the one hand, it's got this screaming engine behind you and it's all drama. And that drama's intensified a little bit in this car now because of the way the dampen's so firm. On the other, it's just a really grippy, really predictable four-wheel drive car. It does dance a little bit, you can get the back end out if you want to. It still feels rear biased, but you really have to want to do that, you know? You don't have to be anywhere near this car's capability or its limits to just have a brilliant time driving it. It's because it feels so good, it's because you know exactly what the front and the rear wheels are doing through your hands and through your arse, but without it ever punching you in the face like some of these cars do. The last thing I drove like this was the AMG GT-R.
The result
It's one of the most viscerally engaging driving experiences you'll ever have. Listen to this. And that thing was brilliant, right? But it was so mechanical, it felt so harsh and so edgy that it made you feel edgy too, whereas this doesn't do that. This just feels like the ultimate embodiment of a sports car. It is f***ing brilliant.
And that's about it, really. Audi's updated it. It's slightly less comfortable, slightly quicker, slightly different looking, and still slightly absolutely sensational. Although all of this said, I still think the best version is the rear wheel drive one that they did before they did this facelift, and that they now no longer do. Oh well, the end. Thanks for watching. Please hit subscribe. Actually, you know the drill. Why are you still watching?